forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts. Well, here's one of those interviews where we've been talking 10 to the dozen while the cameras and my filters and my lighting has been adjusted to within an nth of its life, because it turns out that I have quite a few people in common with Adam Garcia. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, we do.
And we've never met, and yet it turns out...
we're in a circle.
Oh, my God.
We're in a collection.
So many people, some of whom people might know, one of whom they wouldn't know. So we won't waste time there. But you're not here to discuss your connections with me. Oh. First off, chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang.
Chitty chitty bang bang.
Chitty bang. How much fun is touring in Chitty Bang Bang?
And this is not sort of hyperbole. It's the most fun I've had on stage.
Is it?
It really is. It is. And I knew it was going to be a good show. And I've seen the show. And obviously there's the movie. But I never knew how much fun I could have. Well, I've done lots of really great shows. But this one is just, there's something about it. It's a ride. Yeah. It's a great big ride.
Well,
so,
literally
a ride.
It's you're touring it, and is this the production where the car appears to? Because of course, it can't really fly. It appears to the audience to fly.
It really does appear to the audience, and I've been on the stage while they were testing it, and I was almost underneath the car. Obviously, for safety reasons, not underneath the car. But for all intent and purposes, it looks like it is levitating, flying of its own accord.
And I imagine it just delights audiences.
It does. As soon as it's revealed, when it's not even flying, when it's just sort of polished up, because the car is beautiful. People go nuts. There's such a nostalgia, and it's sort of one of those stories. It's a bit of fabric of particularly British society.
The film of it. And how much is this true in the stage production? The child catcher was properly, upsettingly scary.
Horrifically so. He was Australian, so Robert Helpman.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was a wonderful knighted ballet dancer who ran the Australian Ballet Company for many, many years.
Adam is also an Australian. We should make that very clear. We're not trying to hide it.
No.
We're not trying to gloss over it.
This is the thing. I've tried, but it comes out every now and again.
And I love Australia and Australians, so I'm very happy.
This is it. Well, I'm very glad. So Robert Helpman was. I mean, I remember watching it, and I was a kid, and just thinking, "This is horrific. He's horrific."
Yeah.
And I believe that was a Dahlian, I'm going to say, invention, because Roald Dahl helped write the screenplay for the film, and that sort of grotesquerie that he's
and the proper scariness.
Yeah,
the proper not worrying about, will it upset the children? Yes, it will.
It upset the children, and we have a child catcher, and they are creepy, but they tread that tightrope. Of sort of acceptable creepiness, because it would be. But there are kids, because lots of very little kids come and watch the show, and you can hear the.
And is it Charlie Brooks who's playing the role now?
Charlie Brooks is playing the role, and it's a really interesting because she's such a sweet, lovely person.
Yeah,
and the makeup is extensive. Right, the hairstyling is.
And when is Elaine C. Smith doing it? Is that when you're going to be in Scotland?
There for all the Scottish gigs.
How exciting. I know Jason Manford did it, and Jason's a chum, and he talked like you're talking, saying it was just a delight to do because it brought such joy to people.
And that's it, yeah. It's one of those things, and obviously doing 8 shows a week touring can become tiring.
You don't say.
And but it's one of those things. We have a Sunday matinee, which is great. And it's at sort of 2:00, and that whole weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, it's so full of kids and so exciting. As soon as the band starts, there's a clap.
Yeah.
Because the music's so beautiful, and people are just with it.
So if you're tired, that lifts you, presumably.
Absolutely. Like
so you do Sunday matinee and then back on Tuesday night.
Back on Tuesday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've really sort of paid your dues stage-wise, haven't you? You're a proper...
I'm an old turn.
An old tart.
Yeah, I'm an old tart.
No, but you really have, haven't you? The first time I was aware of your name was Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was a long time ago. That was 1998.
Ludicrous, because I would have said, oh yeah, that was about 10 years ago, right? That was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, and it was David Ian who produced it with Robert Stigwood, who's David Ian is producing this. So I've worked with David a lot.
Did you meet Stigwood?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm fascinated by Robert Stigwood. Isn't there a film about to be made about him? Or
I hope
there's
so.
a Bee Gees movie happening, and I think he's going to play a big part in it. For people who don't know, he was the Bee Gees manager, larger than life?
Largest of life. Yeah, he was incredible. And
he had to sign off on you, did he?
He had to sign off on me.
Because Adam played the Travolta role.
And so he, of course, produced the movie.
Yes.
He also produced Grease, and I was in the production of Grease before that as a smaller part, as Doody. And that's where they sort of met me, and they were like, because I was I'm a dancer by trade, they were like, we need someone who can dance.
Yeah.
Who can sing and act. And so I auditioned for Saturday Night Fever 12 times. On the 8th time I got it, and then they were like, actually, no, you don't.
Why?
And went back because I was I didn't have a name. I was 24 years old. They were determined to try and find someone else. And then eventually David Ian and Robert Stigwood, and it was actually Arlene Phillips.
Oh, lovely.
Who
Everybody likes Arlene.
And Arlene was the person who gave me my
No one ever
first
says
jobs.
a bad word about Arlene.
She's amazing.
Everybody, you can't help.
No.
I mean, I've only met her a handful of times, but yeah, a lovely
She's
person.
extraordinary.
And just got some honour, didn't she?
She is now Dame.
Long overdue.
Yeah. And so she was the one that really championed me and was like, we've got to have someone who can dance it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's pretty cool to be the guy that gets to play the John Travolta part.
It was, I mean, that was a huge...
That's a shot in the arm. Isn't that a vote of confidence?
It really was. And I still remember like not really knowing. I've always been quite a vague person. So I was like, oh, it'll be fun. And I'd never been to the Palladium.
Did you not?
I'd never been to the Palladium yet. So when we got there, I was like, it's really big.
Yeah. It's big, but it's intimate though. You must have found that. That's the thing about it, is that it's a fantastic place to play.
Beautiful. I would love to go over there and play there again one day.
What about involvement of the Bee Gees? Because you put a single out, didn't you?
I did.
Of Night Fever.
Of Night Fever,
So which Bee Gees did you come into contact with during that whole hullabaloo?
Barry and Robin.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It was super exciting. And Maurice. I think Maurice was...
Did you?
Yes. So, and they did an evening with the Bee Gees for the BBC.
Yeah.
And I got to go and see that. And I met them a few times. They came in, obviously, for the opening night. They came in for the first couple of days of rehearsals. They allowed us to change one of the songs around to suit the narrative rather than be
Which song?
The one, I'll say goodbye. No.
More than a woman.
It wasn't more than a woman.
You.
It was one. It was actually one that's not in the movie, and it was sung
and the nights
by...
on Broadway. It's just emotion that's taking me over. You win again. Gotta get a message to you. Is it one of those? Islands in the...
It's the one that Celine Dion sang, Immortality.
Immortality. I love the Bee Gees.
It's crazy how many hits.
Oh, it is.
It's crazy.
It is. Why do you have to be a heart? All the love in the... We got nothing to be... I mean, it's... I am a woman. It's just emotion. Yeah.
It's just... this is like...
To love somebody. To love somebody. The way I love you.
And do you know the story about the falsetto?
Yes, I do.
Ah, good.
But tell it for our listeners.
Who may not know. It was Stigwood. Robert Stigwood was producing Saturday Night Fever. He found John Travolta and was like, I want to make 3 pictures with you. And that's going to be Grease,
Okay.
Saturday Night Fever, and something else which wasn't as...
That was a little bit of John Travolta.
Yeah.
I tried to do that. Okay.
Is that... Yeah, I guess that is. Yeah.
Okay. It's not one of my best ones. It's
No.
not as good as Ken Bruce, the ex-Radio 2 DJ, but okay.
But it can be, for what it is.
It's better than somebody who's mute.
This is all true. So Stigwood was like, can you write some disco tunes for this album, this movie? And the demo that they sent over, because they just threw a demo together, was all them just sort of going, I'm just going to sing like this, so I don't have to sing up way up high.
Oh.
And so we can just, do all those things. And he was like, that's the sound. And they're no.
I've not heard that story.
Oh, really?
I
could be wrong, though.
I heard that it's the bit at the end of Nights on Broadway. So Nights on Broadway goes, here we are, quite a manly voice, in a room full of, and playing all the nights on Broadway. And he goes, and then over at the end, there's a, that's what I've heard. But listen, you're the guy that's...
But maybe that was the demo that he sent across. But that was Stigwood's choice to go, all of it falsetto. And they're like,
It's an incredible story, isn't it? Because they look at their catalogue before that, and then ba-boom, because they'd already been super successful. But they had that sort of up and down thing, because in between, they ended up at the Batley Variety Club, didn't they, in the North, like a lot of acts did, who perhaps were waning or waxing in their career. So you found them to be nothing but lovely.
Absolutely delightful.
Must be very intimidating if they've come to the opening night.
And you're
going out on stage and the Bee Gees are sitting there looking at you?
Yeah, it was one of those things where luckily, as I said, I'm quite vague. Because you can't, and I couldn't even think about who was out there sort of thing. Because there was a lot of people out there on that opening night. And it was the first time I'd led a show, the first time I'd done anything like that. And I've discovered in most shows when you're playing the lead, there's like sort of 15 minutes before you're introduced as a character.
Okay.
So in Character Spots, there's like 15 minutes. I just did 42nd Street, and the character of Julian Marsh comes on like 15 minutes into the show. And it's like, rah, rah, rah. Saturday Night Fever, it opens Spotlight You.
Oh, really?
And you're the first image anyone sees, and then you walk out. And I was like, and I remember when that giant buildings parted, New York landscapes.
And how did it start? Was it a sort of an approximation of that scene where he's walking down the road, or does it start with him in the white suit?
It starts with him in street clothes, but in that pose.
Oh, really?
Backlit.
Yeah.
Obviously iconic pose. And then it goes straight into Staying Alive.
Get lost.
Strut down to the front, start singing.
And you're singing Staying Alive.
Singing Staying Alive. Singing
and
everything.
The Bee Gees are watching you.
Correct.
And Robert Stigwood is watching you.
Oh, yeah. He put all the money into it.
And you're 24?
I'm 24.
Whoa, God. Ooh.
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't just realize. I was like, what have I put myself into right now?
When does the music come in? So what? It parts. You're there.
Yeah.
People
so the
cheer
music,
on that first night. They go, Ray.
Yeah, they go, Ray. So the music's already sort of playing around about sort of Staying Alive in a few other pieces, sort of orchestral stuff. And then there's just one note. And there's this sort of grand chord of that. And then that's your starting. And then just a big bah, down, bound.
Right. And now you're walking down to front and center.
Strutting
you haven't got the paint can, have you?
No, you're just walking. You pick up the paint and you
pick up the paint.
You pick up the paint slightly later on. But yeah, you just walk down and you.
And are you singing it in the same key as the record?
No, so it's not a falsetto.
Oh.
So it had to be
So whereabouts?
high.
So where, I mean, I'm not asking you to do it, but just a rough idea.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man. No time to talk. Out there.
And what's the next one? Music loud.
Music loud. And the women warm have been kicked around since I was
born. The women
born.
warm. It's a different time.
It's a different time.
A different time.
Yeah, but
we just said we want them to be warm.
Yeah.
Warm-hearted. I was going to go, we want them to wrap up warm. But we're saying they're warm-hearted.
Yes.
I've been kicked around since I was born. It's all right.
It's okay. We can live to see another day.
We can try.
to understand the New York Times effect on man.
The New York Times, do they mean the paper?
Yeah.
They mean the New York,
guess.
because it came from an article, didn't it? The Tribal Rights of Saturday Night.
Yeah, that's
by
right.
Nick Tosh, something like that.
I was going to say Nick Cohen, but no.
I don't think it was Nick Cohen.
No.
I think it was somebody else.
That's right.
I'll bet there's a lot of lyrics in Bee Gees songs that people have never really
No.
right? You can tell by the way I'm really loud, hanging around since I was. Yeah. So you do that. Okay. So that's Saturday Night Fever. We talked earlier about overlapping with people we know, mutual friends. I didn't realize you've done several things with Ken Branagh.
I have.
I have also done.
Yes, you have.
One or two things with him. What a lovely man.
What an extraordinary
Discuss.
man. You can't really say enough about him.
You can't, can you? I know.
He's he's one of those things. I think the first thing. Well, I'll tell you a funny story about my audition. So I'm not a Shakespearean actor, and I was auditioning for The Winter's Tale. That he was doing because you did a season.
I did a farce with him. Yes, but that's right. We were part of the same season.
Yeah, we were actually
I
part
hadn't
of the
put
same.
two and two together
That's
with
right,
that.
the Garrick.
Yes,
That's crazy.
And we never met. And I came to The Winter's Tale.
Yeah. And I was playing a small part. I was playing Lord Amatus.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a combination of all these different lords.
Yeah.
Which was very nice. And they sort of, but anyway, so I was auditioning. It was the only second time I've auditioned for Shakespeare. The first time was for Sir Trevor Nunn.
Yeah.
And I was dreadful. And I was so dreadful that he was like, I'm going to give you a free 15-minute tutorial in Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Which I thought was was lovely. And
again, thoroughly, I've also worked with him. Thoroughly lovely person.
Just an amazing man. And I had the pleasure of then working with him on another show. Right. And I was like, finally, I got that one. So I'm auditioning for The Winter's Tale, and the audition piece is the two men who go and see the oracle and come back with this news, this very grave news that there is this secret inside this thing, and that holds the key to the life or death of the truth of the King Leontes' wife.
Right.
And it's huge. But I didn't read the rest of the plates. It was like, it came around quite quickly. I'm like, it's going to take a long time to read all that. And there's all these people. I don't need to know about Florizel or Leontes. I just really need to know about this bit. I'll just read this bit, in its own little thing. So I prepared it. And what I didn't realize is my wife has studied Shakespeare at university, and she really loves The Winter's Tale. It's one of her favorite. Leah, probably her favorite, but then she was like, Winter's Tale. She could have told me everything I needed to know, but I didn't ask because I'm an idiot. And so I had this take, for some reason, that they were just very sort of fey and camp, these guys, and that didn't really matter at all. That this oracle, it was sort of a bit like, we're a bit over it. So I went into the audition and played this part, and Ken Branagh was there, and he nodded at me like, And he was very gracious. Was like, could you just we're just going to turn it around really in a slight adjustment. If they were very solemn about this, and it didn't clue on me at all. I still didn't know that.
Oh, really?
And so I made the adjustment.
Well, you just think he likes to experiment.
Yeah, he's just going to see. He's going to throw some stuff and see what sticks, and see if I'm directable. Anyway, so he then. I got the part, and that was all right. And then I realized very quickly, once we're in rehearsals, like I really made the worst choice. And then he did say to me, he said to my wife, because we spoke about this, she was sort of embarrassed for me about this audition and how the hell did I get. And he goes, well, the key was he came in with an incredibly strong choice that I'd never seen or thought could. Now it was wrong. But it was wrong and strong, and then he was directable. And that was the reason, I think.
Isn't that great?
Which is lovely.
I like
which
that,
is really
wrong
lovely.
And strong. That's
wrong and strong.
So that was your introduction to the Branagh universe.
Yes.
Since when you've also done, I loved the Orient Express film. I thought it was, I felt like I was on this luxurious train.
It was extraordinary.
And then you also, so what did you do in that? And then you also did Death on the Nile.
I did Death on the Nile, and I sort of, and I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like I'm a Ken Branagh Easter egg.
Oh, nice.
Because the character, it's small parts. He sort of uses people.
Yeah. He's very loyal, isn't he?
He's wonderfully loyal. And I was doing another film, and I was doing a TV show, and he said, "Oh, look, are you available to do? It's just a couple of days, and we need some sort of stunt work in you as a dancer. So he needed someone to be able to move." And it was the role of the photographer who sort of gets beaten up by the Count right at the beginning of the Orient Express. And so I had a camera, and I did some sort of moves down and got kicked and all this sort of stuff. And then in Death on the Nile, he was like, "I want you to come in. And I have to have an accent." So I was an Italian in that one.
Yeah.
And then in Death on the Nile, I was like a real Cockney Londoner, also with a camera, who has to run downstairs and take pictures and do this commentary in the first part of the film. Mm-hmm. So I have like, if they do more, I wasn't in the Haunting in Venice,
right.
So maybe there wasn't a character with a funny accent or a camera.
Or maybe he's tired of you.
Or maybe the honest truth is he's clearly tired of me.
Maybe the Branagh bubble. I mean, look, we don't know.
It's conjecture.
No, but we can't rule it out.
No, we can't rule it out.
And I would be doing my listeners and viewers a disservice if I didn't acknowledge that elephant in the room. Because you don't want people at home, having their breakfast as they're going, "What do you mean you probably didn't want him?" Yeah. But let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's not the case.
Then there's someone carrying a camera.
If you're watching this, and I don't want to turn this into a whole age thing, people look at me and they say, "Rob, what are you, late 30s, early 40s? I say, "I'm 59. They say, "Get out of town." When Adam came in, I'd been reading the notes, and I genuinely thought we'd made a mistake on the notes, because the notes said you were 50. You're 50 years old.
50, yeah, turning 51 in June.
Sweet Lord. I would like to take some stem cells from you, or some platelets, or whatever
plasma,
those things.
Something
plasma,
like that.
yeah.
That'll do it. But I don't know what it is.
Well, you're saying your mum is fantastically youthful, and that you were a slow developer.
Yeah. So I was really, really short until I was like 12 or 13. Then I was like reasonably, I'm not a hugely tall person anyway. But when I first came here, I was doing a show called Hot Shoe Shuffle before I did Grease. And everyone, I was playing a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old.
Were you?
Yeah. And I was 20, I was 21. And I looked like a child.
Well, Dustin Hoffman did The Graduate when he was 31, wasn't he?
What?
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
All
I
right.
swore he would have been like 18 or something like that.
He was, all right, maybe not. Let's let people look it up at home themselves. He was around
but
about...
He wasn't an 18-year-old.
Oh, no, because he'd been knocking around for ages.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't know. Are we at that point of the conversation now? If I'm just going to flatter you and just say, hey, you look great. Has the conversation come to a natural close? I don't know.
We can continue along that line, but I understand what you're saying.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Touring around the country.
It really is.
Such a fun show. Great show to go to as a family.
Absolutely. It is definitely a family show.
Not so much a show to go to as a single male. It's gonna ask more questions than it answers.
It probably will, but you never know.
You never want to discourage any audience, but I would say
leave it at their discretion, at their better.
All right,
discretion. But I mean, it's a punt, but
all right, okay. So you're saying all comers.
Absolutely,
all comers are welcome. Real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to shake your hand because it's a thing we do.
No, we can do that. We can actually be visible and do it. And it's a real pleasure getting to speak to you because I'm a great admirer.
Okay, now we'll leave this in. Go on.
Yeah.
What?
Well, no.
Yeah. What in particular?
Well, there's a few things.
Oh, go on. We've got time.
Obviously,
Tell the taxi
Gavin and
to wait.
Stacey.
Gavin and Stacey, I'm in that, yes.
Yes. The one you did before that,
Marion and Jeff.
Marion and Jeff.
Oh, you like that?
It was heartbreaking.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's when I first discovered you.
Yes,
I was like, this is one incredible writing.
2000, that was.
That was incredible writing.
Oh, me and Hugo Blick did that.
And then, may I say, you are the snake.
Yes, in the
Gruffalo.
In the Gruffalo, yes.
And it's
What a lovely way to end our conversation with some much needed reversal praise, because it had been a bit Adam-centric.
And I don't know why.
I did feel this discussion, there was a lot about you.
Yeah.
You had your Saturday Night Fever and you've worked with Ken, you're in Chitty Bang Bang, and I'm sat here going, hello.
You've worked with Ken as well.
I find that with a lot of these interviews, it does tend to be very much about the guest.
You know what? The next time, should there be a next time I come on, I will.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about you.
Let's do it. Thank you for watching and listening. Goodbye.